All right, so today what we're going to do is we're going to begin our next topic. And you're going to see that this topic is very similar to the first one we looked at. When we wrote our first statistical paper, right? We explored two things, and we did the box plots, and we analyzed the centers of the spread and the range, etc., and we wrote about that. Remember that a long time ago? Well, you're going to do pretty much the same thing again. But this time, instead of just analyzing the data, you're going to analyze the data to make a decision or to answer a question. So what we're going to be doing is we're making a statistical inference. Inference means that you can infer or you can make a decision based on the information that we give you, right? For example, if you know that 80% of the students who take stats make E's, then you can pretty much expect that if you do work in statistics, then you will get an E, right? Can you make that inference? If you know that 90% of the people in New Zealand own a dog, then you're pretty well sure that when you go to your neighbor's house, you're going to see a dog. There you go. So that's what an inference is. So don't make it anything. Don't make it too complicated just because of the language. All right. So we're going to look today and begin our look at statistical inferences by just talking about the questions and talking about each section, just like we've done before. Each section you're going to need to know. Here is the beauty of this section. Yes, you must analyze the data. Yes, you must make box plots in order for that to work. But all of the data will be given to you, and you will use, as you gather your data, you're going to use NZ Grapher to do all the math. So your focus will be on analyzing the data. And unlike last time where I gave you so much leeway to decide which things to analyze, and some of you analyzed stuff that I don't know what the heck we were analyzing there. But anyway, this time I'm going to be a little more formulaic for you. I'm going to say, you must talk about the center of the data. You must talk about the spread of the data. Okay? So none of the fuzzy business. I'm not going to give you choices. I'm going to say, this is what I'm grading, and this is what you must have. All right? If you want, though, you may excel, of course, and continue and see other things. So I'm going to leave some room, but I'm going to give you enough that you should easily get a merit if you just do exactly what I say. Right? It's a paper that you can write, so you will have, as you develop these things, you will have those resources available. It's completely open book. So my advice would be, as you go to start writing some samples, and this is the way we talked about it, so this is the way it needs to look on your paper, right? Okay? And that's not cheating. It's really preparing you for the way your life is going to be led, right? When you write something or do something for your employer later in life, or for whatever you do, they're going to want it in a certain format so that they can get and with certain information, right? So they're going to be expecting to see these things and only these things, not 17 pages of fluff, right? And so that's kind of what we're doing. We're training you to focus in on the specific information that you're going to need. Sounds good? So that's good news because it means it's not way out there. Now you still, for the excellence, you're still going to have to use some insight and go that one extra step further. But if you stick to the formula, then a merit is easily achievable. Okay? All right. Now, okay, so the very first thing we're going to do is we're going to look at how to write a question and what kind of question, because there are all kinds of questions in the world, right? So you can write a question about anything. But when you're dealing with statistical inference, we need your question to be very precise and contain very precise information, right? It must contain some key words because of the types of inference, the types of material that we're going to analyze, use that, the types of statistical data that we're going to use. It also must be precise in a way that is should be perfectly natural for you, but you're going to follow the formula, right? Okay? So we're going to look at some sample questions today, and then I'm going to give you a big set of data, and then you're going to give you some time to write a question, and then we'll read back a few of those and so we can analyze them. And so we're going to do a little bit of group work as well. Okay? All right. So let's go to the book. So today what we're going to focus on is we're going to focus on writing the question. Your paper is going to begin with some question you want answered. Now, it's not some question you want answered. It's some question that we're going to give you that you probably don't care a thing about, right? But you still need to make sure that the question you write follows the rules and guidelines. And it couldn't be easier. I'm going to give you data, and you are going to write a question. You'll see an example of what's going to happen in just a minute. We're going to do it together. So when you're writing questions, you're going to write a question comparing two things. All right. So the first thing is the question must be comparative. In other words, you're taking two pieces of data and comparing them. Okay. So comparative means to compare, right? Two subsets. For example, you could compare male and female. So I wonder if, and you don't have to use I wonder if, you had to in the past, but now you can't. You could say, is it true that? Doesn't matter. But you could say, I wonder if male Year 12 students in New Zealand are taller than female Year 12 students in New Zealand. I just gave you a full question with almost everything in it. All right? That's how simple these are. But you can compare two samples. So, dogs and cats. Some two pieces of information that you can compare. Two subsets. You must mention the population. Where did I say those Year 12 students were from? New Zealand, right? That's not every Year 12 student in the world. Also, Year 12 gave us specific information. So you must be specific about your population. Who are you talking about? Okay? You must use numerical data. Okay? So let's just go through a little exercise here about that. Okay? So, volunteer to give me, Ella, can you give me something that would be measured in numbers, maybe?
How many jelly beans are in the jar?
Okay, so you could count how many jelly beans are in a jar. So, for example, you might be looking at two different brands of jelly beans and seeing which one has the most jelly beans in a bag, right? That's a comparative sample that can be measured by the number. Okay? Who wants to give me something that's not a number? Do you want me to give you one first, or do you want to go ahead? Do you have? Pardon? Okay, so, but we can still measure people with numbers, but you've got to watch out what kind of numbers you use. Exactly. So you can't use half. So be careful with your numbers. Can't use half. But I'm thinking more of some kind of thing. So, for example, I wonder if Year 12 girls at Queen Margaret are happier than Year 12 girls at Wellington College. Well, right? Can you measure happy with a number? Not really. Now, you can do a survey, couldn't you? And say, circle 1 to 5, how happy you are. But that's not quite the same thing. That's really an opinion or a feeling. So do you see the difference? So, what if I said, guys, come on. What if I said, I wonder if there are more Year 12 students at QMC than Wellington girls? Is that a number? Yes, that's a numerical comparison, right? Okay? You could use height. Why? Because it's a measurement. Use it with a number, right? Okay? Could you use scores? You bet, because those are number measurements. Okay? So that's what we mean by using numerical data. The next one is huge. If you don't say it, the sentence is wrong, which means you can't even get it achieved. You must mention the median. Now, I'm not talking about the number itself, simply that we're comparing the median of the data set. And we're going to look at some examples, and you're going to write some examples too. And it must include a direction. What it is you're comparing this one to this one. Okay? Right? What it is you're working on. Sound good? Too easy. Here's an example. And these are not, do not make these any more complicated than this example that you're given. Is the median height, why am I so happy already? Because we've used the word median, right? Height, why am I happy there? And that's numerical data. Of Year 9 New Zealand male students, why am I happy there? Population, right? Exactly who? Year 9 New Zealand male students, right? Not just Year 9 students, but Year 9 male students, okay? Larger than, why am I happy there? That's direction and comparative. That's a comparison, right? Giving you the directions on how you're comparing. Then, the median, again, median makes me happy, got to have it. Height of Year 9 New Zealand female students. So if you look at these two things, these two pieces are identical except that one of is male students and the other is what? Yeah. And larger than, smaller than, some direction, some comparison. Right? That's the direction. Am I looking to see if they're larger than? Am I looking to see if they're smaller than? Am I looking to see if they're taller than? Whatever. Okay? Now, how do you like that for a sentence? Pretty darn easy, right? Okay? So we're going to give you sets of data, and you can compare anything you want. We're going to give you sets of data where there are lots of comparisons to make. And you can make comparisons. So when you're working on these through your homework, you're going to see that that's the type of thing. So we're going to look at, we'll look at some samples. Now, it's good structure because you have your variable. Variable just means what changes. What do you think is the variable there? The heights, right? What changes between you and your friend in this question? It's certainly not the female part, but the height, right? Okay. Which group? So male students in Year 9 male students in New Zealand, right? It mentions the median is the median in both of them, then the variable and group B of the population. So do you see that the sentence is two parts that are exactly the same with a comparison phrase between them? Are they larger than, shorter than, way more, smarter than? Is smarter than? Is that a good one? Could you measure that numerically? Not really. You could do make higher grades. You could do that numerically. Okay? Now, you could also discuss the purpose of your investigation here. Don't think about it as you could also. You will also talk about the purpose. You will talk about why. But we'll add that in later. Right now we're just focused on the question. Okay? We'll do each part of it and look at it separately. Here's another example. Is the ring finger length of Year 12 males longer than the ring finger length of Year 12 females? Good or bad? What is the thing that I told you that is missing that you will not even get achieved on this paper if you don't have in there? Median. It doesn't have median. And what else does it say up there that it does not have? The population. I don't know. Year 12 males where? The whole world population of Year 12s? Exactly. So you can't even say that because in the States we say 12th grade, right? 12th grade. What's Year 12 here? Year 12 in New Zealand is not the same as Year 12 in Australia, is it? Right? So you've got to be very specific about the population. So look at they've corrected it. Is the median ring finger length for Year 12 boys in New Zealand longer than the median ring finger length for Year 12 girls in New Zealand? So you see that once you decided what you're comparing, you've got two parts of the sentence and then of this you've got that are identical except girls and boys. And then you just have your direction. Other than that, the two pieces are identical. Yeah? So if you get one part of it, half of it right, you're going to get the other half of it right. Okay. Good deal. So, what we have here is we have a sample, a big chart, with a sample of dogs in the town of Flockton. Is that a real town? I don't know. Anyway, probably is. So if you look at this, they give you tons of data, do they not? They talk about the sex, the breed, the age, the weight, where they sleep, what the average litter size is, how many puppies they have, whether or not they're registered. Okay? So, first thing I want you to do is I want you to think about, could we use all of these pieces of information as numerical data? Could I use the sex of the dog as numerical data? Please say yes. Why? I wonder if the average New Zealand household has more male, right? So it's the number of males or number of females. So you can turn that, even though it is a descriptive thing, you can turn that into numerical data, couldn't you? Okay? How about breed? More boxers than any other? Yeah? That one would be tough, though, if you're doing a comparison with two things, right? So what you'd have to do is you'd have to pick two breeds to focus on. Do you see my reasoning there? I wonder if households in New Zealand have more boxers than Labradors. Okay? Now, that's not a proper sentence by any means, right? I'm just talking about the comparisons. I'm not making the sentence. Age. Oh, yeah, that's an easy one, right? Okay? Weight. That's another easy one. So, am I steering you toward ones that are already numbers? Yeah. Right? That would make your life a lot easier. Sleeps inside, outside? Yeah. The number of dogs who sleep inside versus the number of dogs who sleep outside, right? Even though it's a qualitative kind of thing, you could turn it into quantitative. You could turn it into a number by just comparing the number of dogs who do this compared to the number of dogs who do that. Litter size. Yeah. That one would be a little tougher because you'd have to probably think of having more than 5 puppies or less than 5 puppies or something like that. Maybe. It'd be harder comparison. Registered or not, you can turn that into a number. All right? So you just see that any of this data could work. But some of them are easier than others. So what do you want to pick? Pick one of the easy ones with the numbers in it, probably. Compare the weights of dogs in New Zealand. Compare the... I forgot what the other one. Ages were. Okay? So here's what we're going to do. I want you to look at this data, and we're not going to write 3. I want you to write one question using this data, okay, and the criteria that I just gave you. All right? So you have 3 minutes to write a question, and then I'm going to call on a few of you. I'm not taking volunteers. I'm going to volunteer you. I'm going to call on a few of you to answer. So I'm going to give you 3 minutes to write a question, 1 minute to show your question to your friend and say, what do you think? Did I get everything I need? Right? And then I'm going to call on people. So be prepared. When I call on you, I don't have something written down is not an option. You're going to read me a question, even if you have to steal it from your neighbor. Okay? All right? And it has to have everything because we're going to be judging you. Okay. Go. Okay? So go ahead with your sample question.
Is the median white?
Guys, come on. Shh. Is the median?
White for male dogs in New Zealand larger than female dogs in New Zealand?
In New Zealand, what is it now? Larger than?
Female dogs.
Okay. Than female dogs in New Zealand? Okay. Oops. Question. All right. Now, I am pretty happy with your question. Pretty happy. We had some issues. Anybody want to talk about what's going on? So what's going on?
Well, you just need to put the phrase medium weight of as well in the female dogs.
There you go. Right. The word remember that the first part and the second part of the sentence need to be identical except for the male-female part in this case or whatever. Larger than the median weight. All right? All right. Now, so do you see that the two questions have to be the same? The idea is perfect, but the two questions need to be identical at both ends except for the population that you're comparing, that one specific thing that's different. In this case, male and versus female. Yes? You can say weight, but if you put a unit, I'll be much more impressed with you. Did it have units on the chart? Yeah. You probably I would like units. Units would be good if you could put units on there. I'm perfectly happy with the fact that you could get achieved by comparing the weight, but I would be more happy with your question and tick it higher if you said weight in whatever units. Okay? There's something else here that's bothering me a little bit. Anybody catching it? What was the chart about? Dogs in New Zealand? Dogs in Flockton. Yeah, that's one reason I made such a big deal about it. Is it a real town and all that? Yeah. We're not comparing dogs in New Zealand, everywhere in New Zealand, just dogs in Flockton. So be careful that if your chart or the data table has a title, then use that title. Okay? Use the information there. Everybody else okay with it? Yeah? Anything else? Okay? It's great. It's great. Okay? So that gives you a little bit of an idea about what we're looking for and how you can just pull some information. Could I do one with registered? Sure. I wonder if the median number of male dogs in Flockton that are registered is higher than, right, the median number of female dogs in Flockton that are registered. What do you think? You think males would be more likely to be registered than females? I don't know. Could be. Depends on who makes sure to register their dogs. Breeders. And what are they likely to have? Maybe.
Women.
Females, maybe. I mean, they may have one male and a bunch of females, or they may hire the male out. So, right? So there could be a correlation there. You could certainly do a comparison. So do you see that you're not limited in what it is you're comparing? Is what is my point behind there. I wonder if male dogs in Flockton, the median number of male dogs who sleep outside in Flockton is larger than the median number of female dogs who sleep outside. Right? We could do that. There you go. So lots of different questions that you can get from that data set. All right, here we go. Now, we've seen these before. This is a box and whisker plot, and it has a dot plot comparison. This is the kind of comparison that you're going to be making. You do not have to draw these graphs. You do not have to come up with these numbers. Okay? You're going to enter the information into NZ Grapher, and it's going to do that. And we're going to talk about how to do that, and we're going to have a lesson on how to use it if you don't remember. Okay? So what are we talking about here? Weights from a sample of, how do you say that? Takahe? I don't know. Okay? What is that, a fish? It's a bird? I don't know these things. It's a bird? Okay, it's a bird. Takahe. It's a what?
It looks like a big fish.
It looks like some other bird that I don't know what kind. Okay, never mind. All right, so from Fjordland, okay? So what do you think that they're comparing here? Which two groups which two subsets are they comparing? Male and female, right? Okay. And what type of, guys, come on, focus with me. What type of thing are they comparing? Because I can call on you if you need me to. Make it easier for you. Okay. Annabelle, So what is the variable that they're looking at here? What thing are they comparing? The weights, right? So they're comparing males and females. Okay? Greta. Of what is the population then? The takahe from Fjordland, right? Okay? A specific type of bird and from a specific place. Yeah? And, Nirvana, what word must we mention when we're making this comparison? There's one statistical word we must mention, and it is what? Median. Okay? Do you guys remember where the median is when you have a box plot like this? It's the line in the middle of the box, right? And what do you notice about the median in both of these? They're exactly the same. Does that mean every takahe male and female weigh exactly the same? Nope, but the medians do. Okay? All right, so you can look at data in other ways and still develop a question. So here we have a set of data and we were able to develop a question. Anybody want to put the whole question together for me? Somebody? Come on, who's going to be brave? So, give me your question based on this data.
Is the median number of hours worked by year 13 male students at Paradise?
Guys! Hold on a minute.
Median number of hours worked by year 13 male students at Paradise High School during a weekend larger than the median number of hours worked by year 13 female students at Paradise High during the weekend.
There you go. What do you think, guys?
Good. That was good.
Excellent. I didn't finish writing it all down. The direction that she chose, so there's our population. The direction that she chose was, did you say males work longer hours or something like, okay. Right? Or more hours, longer hours, more hours. However you phrase it's fine, just some direction. What is it that you're comparing? What kind of thing are you comparing? Good job. Right? Okay. So I want to look at a couple of questions, and then I'm just going to give you a chance to read the question, and then we're going to say yes or no if this is a good question or not. So, 1 minute. Read the question that's on the board. Is the median weight of year 9 students? Go. 1 minute to decide yes or no. Is this a good question?
No.
Hold on a minute. I'm going to call in somebody.
Yeah, no, it is. And don't be including their
But does it have to? Sure. So this is an example of a good question. Guys, come on. Because even though they're not comparing male to female, they're comparing year 9s to year 7s, the population that they're comparing is still very well defined, isn't it? Couldn't you find all the median weights for year 9 students? Could you find the median weight for year 7 students? Could you get a numerical value for each one of those things? Yes. Then it's a perfectly good population to compare. And again, they mentioned median for both of them, median weight for both of them, and talked about where and gave us, of course, our direction. All right? So that is an example of a good question. Right? How about this one? Is there a difference between the time spent? No, that's a terrible question. Doesn't mean there's a lot of things missing. What's missing there? First of all, the word median. Guys, shh.